I didn't know it so much at the time because, you know, before we didn't really have the internet like you grew up with.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like I'm just an old man yelling at clouds or whatever, but you,
Go ahead.
you know, when you, like you're saying, you got into it through Tony Hawk, at that time, you could then go Google ska bands and then find all this stuff. But when we were doing it, you know, I knew the ska bands that came through the town I lived in,
Mm-hmm.
and the ones in the record stores. You could go and there, some stores would have a ska section, like even at the mall, right? Like Sam Goody or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
Tower Records. And that's where I found my ska music, you know. And then the internet kind of grew, and so you could go to like a band's website,
Right.
like a Less Than Jake or Real Big Fish, and there would be a page of links. This is how we used to do it. It would be like, you know, home, bio, music. They didn't really have video back then, and then it would be links, and it would be links to other bands, so
Yeah.
you could find bands that way. And zines were a big thing. But as far as the international scale of it, like I didn't realize it was big in other countries until we went to Japan to play, and there were all these other ska bands, and we were playing these huge shows.
Of course.
And that was when it clicked for me. But even then, I only knew it was big in Japan. I didn't know about Europe, about Latin America. Later, you know, since then, I've kind of had an eye out, and you hear, especially because of the internet, because of Instagram, because of Facebook, you see all of these things. And then making the movie, we talked to people, and everybody would say, well, I mean, you have no idea how big this is in Mexico, in Latin America, in Europe. I knew Japan, obviously, and then Australia too, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of the things I learned making the movie. So over the years, putting that together, I don't know, like when we started, we didn't think that was going to be such a big part, but now it's like the last 10 minutes of the movie is about you know, this worldwide ska scene. And I don't think that would have happened the way it is now, the way it's connected now, without the internet, without social media, things like that. Because like I said, in the 90s when people were doing it, if you were in a band, you knew all the other bands. If you toured internationally, you'd know all those people. But if you were a fan going to a show, you know, in the middle of Wyoming or, you know, Nebraska or something, you'd see Real Big Fish, you'd see Less Than Jake, maybe the Pie Tasters would come through, you know, some smaller bands if you were lucky, and then whatever your local bands were. So you'd see a lot of these local pockets where, you know, I hear this from people all the time about the movie. They're like, why didn't you include, you know, so-and-so, my favorite band from, and they live, you know, wherever in, you know,
right.
South Dakota or North Dakota. And it's like, to them, that was the biggest band because it was the biggest band in their town. And that, I think, especially in the 90s, that was huge everywhere. You know, every town had like the ska band that everybody loved. And most of them didn't break out. It's hard to tour if you have a ska band. It's too many people to fit in most bands. So a lot of ska bands kind of stayed regional at that level, but they were huge. You know, everybody loved this band or that band. So I don't know. It's global now, but it felt more local then.